what is our intention in preserving the character of the town as a whole, and how will we address it? So it's going to start broader and then dial back to the specifics as we're looking into it, right? How are things zoned? Increase or decreasing lot size is going to have impacts on all kinds of things, you know, sewers and water runoff and all of that, and all of it needs to be taken into consideration. But I'd have to review more before I decided on a number.
I have a similar take in that I haven't had a chance to take a position on minimum lot sizes. I think the comprehensive plan will address that. I think when it comes to each, you know, this might be a case-by-case thing as to what makes the most sense for, you know, each space in each lot. So, and when it comes to, a lot of it has to do with environmental concerns and safety concerns, and so I really feel like it's a case-by-case thing.
Yeah, once again, I will say the same. This hasn't been raised as a concern, increasing lot sizes. Some might make the case for lowering lot sizes, but that is not the character of the town. We have generous lot sizes, I think 3 acres, I'm not even sure. So increasing that would, you know, eat up the rest of our land. We don't really have a lot of available land for development as it is. We're kind of built out. So I wouldn't specifically see a need to increase minimum lot sizes, but once again, somebody asked this question, so it's a concern for somebody in this audience. And if you're that person, by all means, talk to me afterwards, come to a town board meeting and state your case for increasing minimum lot sizes, and we'll have the discussion. That's all we can do.
Thank you. Scott, will be the next one back. Scott? Sorry. What is your position in having farm caution signs on roads for the farm vehicle safety?
I think it's important. I know sometimes you get caught behind a tractor, you might get a little frustrated, you know, and but it's the last thing you want to do. I mean, we do see some. Most people drive very safer in this town. You know, you see an occasional vehicle that's very often a younger person who's probably going faster than they should, or maybe driving a little more aggressively than they should. But you know, farmers are the lifeblood of this nation. I mean, our founders were farmers, and you know, farming is such a crucial part of this existence, not only in this country but all over the world. And I'm probably overstating it when I say something like that, but I mean, if you don't have the proper regulations in place, someone's going to get hurt. So I have no problem whatsoever with making sure that that's very well enforced to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know anyone would oppose farm vehicle signage on roadways. It's a matter of safety. We are a right to farm community, as we should be. So, you know, if the farmer's slowing you down on your way to work or on your way to a meeting, that's how it goes. They're the reason we have food. So the only thing I would think is every time I pass one of those signs, I think the hat on the farmer is a little goofy. If I was a farmer, I would want a different hat on that guy, because it kind of makes him look like a simpleton. And they're not simpletons. So that would be the only thing. I would fully advocate for a redesign on the farm access traffic signs. Thank you.
Joe McCann with a win for humor. For that. Absolutely, I agree. We need to protect our folks just as we have signage in areas where we have children or anyone who might be at risk of being injured. We need to be very careful. I was coming back into town from Center, and I went up one of the hills and I saw a large truck, and behind it I saw someone coming, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to slow down, because who knows what that other driver, not the farmer, but the other driver's decision is going to be about zipping around that farm equipment and coming head on into me. Luckily, everyone behaved themselves, and I was very proud of all. No one seemed to be upset. But I think signage is important to give people a heads up. Also, people don't always pay attention to signs. So I think if we're concerned, if anyone in the audience has a particular concern about safety, we might need to do a little more. If we have an area where we think people are zipping through a little quicker than they ought to, that might be putting folks at risk, that's when we can work with the police department to put up the you were traveling at this speed, or other notices to just wake folks up a little bit to help out and make sure everyone's safe.
Okay.
Sarah?
Yeah.
sure.
No, I'm good. I thought I started no, I didn't start.
No, you didn't. I got my board here.
Hey, I trust you.
Here you.
You are, sir.
Here's the question. Would you prioritize local businesses over corporate or government-driven projects in your town?
100%.
I'm running a small local business, so I'm with that guy. Yes, absolutely. Wherever possible, support local, right? At the co-op, we put things in priority. Our gold standard is going to be, for folks who care about eating organic, it's going to be local organic produce, right? And you move out from there. We always want to prioritize local and supporting our local businesses. That's the lifeblood of our community. Those are our residents. And where possible, then we go regional if we need to, and national if we need to, but then we're going to be working very carefully to make sure it serves the best needs of the community.
Absolutely, local should always take precedence. My wife and I own local retail stores, and I've had the good fortune of traveling all over the country in different capacities. And while there are a lot of amazing places around this country, a lot of towns look the same national chains that you see all over the place. And we have a few of those here, and not to say they don't belong here. I like Chipotle, but I'll take Aurora and Left Coast Taco any day of the month. Jersey Mike's is good, but the deli's way better if you ask me. And it's the charm, the character and identity of the village and the town are preserved when you focus on local businesses. It's really, small and local businesses are most of the businesses that people work at. And I've worked for large companies and I've worked for small ones, and I would take a small one any day of the week. So that's where I stand.
How would you prioritize spending if the town's budget was faced with shortfalls?
Having only dug into 1 year of town budget, I would have to spend more time analyzing before I would decide what I was prioritizing. It's going to come from citizens first, though, right? What's the largest impact on our community? The current town board has done an amazing job of staying within the tax cap and supporting our both town residents and our town employees who are also our residents. We see the pressures coming from outside with the cost of healthcare increasing. So there's always going to be some pressure on the budget. The board can also continue to look for funding from other sources so that we can do the things that meet the needs of the community without impacting the taxpayers. So I would say priorities would be community residents first, but safety is going to be top of the list.
Yeah, first and foremost, the essential and services that are dedicated to safety has to be the priority. So you have police, fire, and the roads. That has to be the #1 priority. If you have tough budget decisions to make, that needs to be where you start, where your main priority is. I actually had recently met with Aaron, the fire chief over on Center at the volunteer fire department there, and he showed me around and showed me what they do. And it is unbelievable that what they are providing for us, and they don't get paid to do it. It's crazy. So I mean, first and foremost is keeping the town safe, and that is police, fire, and roads, and then you think you go from there. And again, we have to answer to all of you. And that is, if we're, God forbid, ever faced with a shortfall like that, I hope that people would speak up and we could hear from you and do our best to represent you.
I agree with my other two folks sitting here. We've been fortunate. We've done very well in this town. This isn't just to the current board, but the previous board as well. When I came on the board, we had already been budgeting below the tax cap. We already had healthy reserves, and we've continued that policy. When it comes to hard times, it's not a matter of if, but when, right? Things are always coming around the corner, and you gotta be prepared for them. We have a great deal of resiliency in the town because we established such a large reserve fund. So if we have a couple rough years, maybe the taxpayers don't feel it as hard, but eventually, we are the ones that keep the lights on in this community. So we are gonna work diligently. We already do work diligently to spend your money wisely, spend my money wisely, spend all of our money wisely. I think we can be trusted and counted upon to face tough times as well when they come. Right now, we've been beneficiaries of hefty sales tax return, which is great. But Adeline one day. We all see it, right? The stock market's going bananas, everything's kind of turning up roses. It's just a matter of time before things turn. That's the nature of the economy. And we work diligently to prepare for that with our reserve funds. And if we have to make tough choices, we will. But, as I've said right along, you'll all be part of the conversation. Thank you.
This question's for you to start. What do you think of the current town board? What do you think the current town board has done well, and what else would you like to see the town board accomplish?
I think the town board has done a very good job when it comes to, first I have to go back to the highway department, because I know that Dave and his crew do a great job, and they're one of the most respected departments in the state from everything that I've heard and been told. And so I think we've done a great job with the roads. I think we do a great job keeping people safe. And I think where there's opportunities for improvement, obviously a lot is going to come. We're going to find a lot with this comprehensive plan. It's going to determine a lot what this town looks like over the next 5 to 20 years. And I think we need to be stewards of that. We really need to pay really close attention to that going forward. That's a big thing. And I think I believe in, when it comes to budgeting, I believe in going line by line. And I'm not talking about cutting, but I don't believe in looking at the budget as a whole and saying, okay, what are we adding? Are we adding anything on? I believe in starting right at the beginning and looking at each budget line one by one and say, okay, what's working here? What's not working here? Is this, can we do better? Can we save money here? Does something need to be addressed? Each one down the line. And then we go from there, and we're doing well in this town. We're doing very well, but we can always be better.
Thank you. The thing I'm most proud of, honestly, as a member of the town board, is the bipartisan method in which we work. We really leave our politics at the door. National politics have no place in a town board. It's, as I said before, we are the most direct representatives of the people. We represent right at the town level. So I am very proud of the fact that everybody has a voice, everybody's heard, nobody gets beat up upon, nobody gets bullied. We're currently 4 people, we were once 5 people, and we've worked together very, very well. In terms of improvements, I can't think of any. I think we've done a good job. I think we're going to keep facing the storm. I'm looking forward to getting a new member of the board with a different set of skills, a different set of experiences. And that's really crucial, right? You come from different perspectives, and it's that different perspectives that gives you that power, that strength to handle what's ever coming down the pike. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the town board has done an incredible job receiving funding, applying for and obtaining grants that have been incredibly beneficial to the community. The comprehensive plan that is so important to our future was largely provided, funding was largely provided by the county, and that's been enormously helpful. I think offsetting the expenses and being able to make progress has been very important for this board and is laudable, all of the efforts, and I'm looking forward to being part of that. I think that the work for greener initiatives and climate smart community has been very important. Going forward, I'd like to see a little bit more work there. I'd like to see us look at our infrastructure and emergency preparedness. Being the manager of a small business on Main Street, I know how disruptive weather changes can be. High winds are more often, power outages happen, and as a community, I know that people look to their officials for support in those times, so I think there's work to be done there. Not that the board has done anything wrong, but it's, I think, the next thing to tackle. Communication is always something we can do better. I think that there's efforts can be made to share some of the information in more streamlined ways, and I think that that's something that the board continues to make progress on and can continue to do from here. And I think one of the biggest things that we can take on is more collaboration. To Mr. McCann's point about working in a nonpartisan way, we can also work in a more collaborative way with the village. And I think there's a lot of opportunity. The village sits right within the town. We can all work together. There's plenty of opportunity for us there. There's already some cross-sharing of resources, and I'm sure that there can be more.
I'm on the fence here. We got 5 minutes. Can we get through 3 or no? 3 more questions? Yeah.
Everything. I thought you were in charge.
No, I think we can do it. You just a little long.
That one-word answer gotcha.
I look at it as an average.
So let's start with the next one. And this will be going to Joseph. To start off on this one. How important are the varied backgrounds and ideology of the town board is to you? How important are the varied backgrounds and ideology of the town board?
That's an interesting question. Backgrounds and ideology sort of carries with it, you know, some sort of subtext. I think it's experience really that matters, right? Where you grew up, are you rural, are you urban, are you in the village, are you in the town? These are all perspectives. I think that matters more than ideology. I think I've tried to make that a centerpiece of everything I've said today. Is ideology doesn't factor in at the town level. It's really just taking care of the budget, getting the services provided. So I think where the strength is where people have different perspectives to bring to the board, more than ideology. Ideology kind of connotes some sort of like stiff. When I think of somebody's ideology, I think of their stiffened backbone, and this is what I'm here to say, and I'm going to close my ears to what anybody else has to say. I think it's perspectives, and I think everybody brings their own perspective, right? So having 5 people on the board again is going to help. Having new blood on the board again is going to help, right? You get stale, that's inevitable with any government body. So I would say it's important to have different perspectives, different points of view that can be discussed respectfully, and that's where I would leave that.
Thank you. I very much agree that it is perspective more than ideology. I think it's essential that the skills of the board members are taken into consideration. I think that being able to communicate across the community, listen to all voices, collaborate, I think those are the things that are most important. We're representing, it's only 5 people representing an entire community. We're not possibly going to cover everything, but we need to be really good listeners and collaborators. That's our best approach to all of this. That being said, I will say that there are no women on the board and haven't been in 5 years. I'd like to think that I bring listening skills to this role, and I think that that's really important. The communication piece is how we capture all of the ideologies that are out within our community to make sure we're making smart decisions for all.
Well, when it comes to background, I definitely feel that your experiences and where you come from and what's happened in your life and what you've seen and matter a lot. What you bring to the table and that perspective is really important. From my perspective, I think that me coming from the business community is a big positive. You know, bringing in an outside voice that may not be being heard right now, and I think that matters a lot. But it's also, I mean, and then this board works very well together. It's not heavily partisan. So when you talk about ideology, I don't see it as a super partisan issue, but there is an issue with representation, and that is the fact that while we do work together in this town, Republicans and conservatives outnumber registered Democrats in this town, and we have 0 council members. We have Chuck Snyder, thankfully, who is our supervisor, and that's it. And we outnumber them in terms of registered voters. Now, it doesn't mean it needs to turn into a big partisan ideological battle, but I do think some balance does need to be restored.
Thank you. Jessica, what skills do you have to contribute to the role, and what skills do you hope to develop?
I bring management skills, personnel management, budgets, strategic planning, problem solving. There's a lot that goes into running a small business. I have 14 years on the school board, so there's a lot of collaboration and board service there that I understand how to work on a board. I think I mentioned this earlier, that we work as one voice in the end to collaborate and build consensus. I have very good listening skills. I appreciate hearing people and learning new things. Every day I want to learn new things, so to the point of what do I hope to learn, I never want to stop learning. At the co-op, we talk a lot about being deliberately developmental. Every person we interview is an opportunity for everyone else on staff to learn. I think it's an amazing opportunity to learn from people of all ages and backgrounds, and that's what I'll bring to the table. I hope to learn a lot more about this particular sort of municipal governance, but there's always something to learn, and that's one of the things that's most exciting to me about running for this role.
Can you give me the question one more time?
What skills do you have to contribute to the role, And what skills do you hope to develop?
In terms of the skills that I can contribute, I talked about earlier with my business background, my HR background, and being the complaints department that I mentioned. And that is, in my opinion, can be a very fresh perspective, and I think it's important. But I do feel like what I can learn the most is learn from the people of the town. It has been so, I mean, campaigning is, can be a little, taxing at times, but it actually, I have had such a great experience meeting so many different people, seeing all these great places that people live, and hearing from them. That has been a great learning experience, and I'm really looking forward to doing more of that. And, I know sometimes the town board meetings are busy and sometimes they're not. The more the merrier, and we definitely want to hear from you, and that's how I'm gonna learn. And also, the other thing that I would say in terms of what my experiences would be beneficial is that my wife and I are part of Totally Buffalo Cares, which is a 501c3 charity, and we have learned so much and been so humbled by some of the people we've met all over Western New York and been able to help out. And while obviously government is not a charitable organization, we do exist to serve, and that's, I can always be better at that.
As far as background, I didn't really get into this initially. For the last 14, 15 years, I've worked primarily as a compliance auditor. So it's been my job to spot deficiencies. Initially, it was in the gaming industry. Currently, I work in the homes and community renewal, looking at houses that have been weatherized for deficiencies. It's more of a technical role. But that is the background. That's why I was confident to put my hand up for town board initially. I'm used to analyzing things and fixing them and identifying problems. But that's not really the most important skill. The most important skill, and it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse here, is listening, and really listening, right? So Jim Bach, the former supervisor, when I was first running, he gave me a piece of advice that when the other person's talking, just listen. Don't prepare your response, right? And it leaves you, sometimes you're not ready to say something right away, and it leaves you at a deficit. But the point of conversations isn't winning the conversation, it's learning, right? And when your time comes up, maybe the other person will learn a little something too. So I truly believe that the best skill someone can have, and the skill that I have, is the capacity to learn and the understanding that I don't know everything. Who was it? Was it Mark Twain? Probably not. That said, true knowledge lies in realizing you don't know nothing. I forget who that was. Definitely wasn't Mark Twain. But so the skills I can develop after 4 years on the board, honestly, things still come up. Truck weight. Didn't know about truck weight, right? So I am going to be thinking about that tonight when I'm lying in bed. Why didn't I know about truck weight? And in a week or so, I'm going to know a lot more about truck weight. So I had to sort of echo what Jess said. You're always learning, and that's life, right? When you stop learning, it's game over. That's it.
Now we'll take our last question with Scott to start it off. What are your views using public funds for green energy projects versus letting the private sector lead the way?
Based on my background and my experience, I lean toward the private sector. I believe I always would prefer tax incentives and tax breaks over using public funds for certain initiatives. And it has to be remembered that it is not, when you're in a government position, when you're in an elected position, it's not our money, it's your money. It's, that is the most, we always have to remember that. And I feel like that needs, so when it comes to these projects, which can be very valuable, it really needs to be, the focus needs to be more on how can we save, give you an incentive for a green initiative, give you skin in the game to participate. And I think tax incentives and tax breaks are always a better option than just getting public funds. Now when there are states, if the grants coming from elsewhere, if there are grants coming from elsewhere from the state that aren't costing the town taxpayers money, that's a different story. But I lean towards tax incentives, before public funds.
I think I made it clear I support green initiatives, and I agree with Scott, right? It's not my money, so I don't set the agenda. The town sets the agenda through elections and through the comments at our board meetings. I think we do need to take climate resiliency, that's the word I appreciate the most, very seriously. Snowstorms, rainstorms, gully washers as they call them, they're happening all the time. And what you do is you look at the smart money, right? It's not about what Joe McCann thinks. What I like to do is look at what the big guys are doing. You know, the state and the feds are increasing the size of storm drains, because it's just a fact. What we used to build 100 years ago isn't functioning now. So we have to take these things seriously, and that's public money, right? As far as green energy goes, I mentioned earlier that I'm in weatherization now. And I was in Syracuse last week for a conference, and a woman from Cornell came to speak about green energy. And what was fascinating about it to me was, it's no longer like, there's always early adopters, right? Everybody knows the first person they knew to get an electric car, and it was a bad investment, right? It was new technology, it wasn't figured out yet. But we're at the point now where green technology isn't like some hippie pipe dream, it's the future. Like, it's gonna get better, just like the first little gas car was hunk of crap, right? It's gonna get better, and it's to the point now where it's competing with fossil fuels, honestly, on a level playing field. So, you know, that's just where we're going. But I agree, we're stewards of your money, and we're not gonna throw it away on unproven technologies, and we haven't. So, we're gonna continue to pursue green initiatives, we're gonna continue to pursue climate resiliency, but we're gonna do it in a smart, measured way. And we're all gonna be part of the conversation.
Absolutely on protecting the taxpayer dollars while pursuing the green initiatives. We don't need to be the early adopters of everything just because it's the shiny new thing. But we can certainly do the legwork to see where green initiatives are saving taxpayers' dollars in other places, or piloting programs where the funding has come from outside of the community, right? I think looking at more grant funding is always a great opportunity. What folks have to realize is that there is money out there that is they are our taxpayer dollars that are held by the state, right? So the dollars are already collected, we've already paid for them, and they're going to go somewhere, right? So it might as well be our community that applies for the grants or whatever to get the initiatives to bring the funds back into the community. If it's already come out of our pockets, we might as well do whatever we can to bring it back into our community. And we want to take part in any of the green initiatives that are going to save money in the long run, right? We're reaching that point, as Joe said, where this is the way forward. So some of these things are going to cost some money to save money over a period of time.
We're going to start with you for closing statements.
Okay.
Go in reverse.
First up, I want to thank my 5-year-old grandson, Lincoln, for suffering through this. I'm sure he'd much rather be watching Jurassic World right now than watching the three of us talk about the comprehensive plan. So thank you, Lincoln. I want to thank my whole family as well for being here. I really appreciate it.